Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk.
Charlie?
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9,
WORD.
the voice of the Carolinas.
And a very good afternoon. It's Friday, and not only is it a Friday, holy cow, the temperature outside is absolutely phenomenal. It feels like fall. Feels like I ought to be wearing my Georgia football hoodie and getting ready to watch some Bulldogs play. Man, I tell you what, it is absolutely beautiful out there. Welcome to the program on your Friday afternoon as everybody's getting ready for the weekend. I don't even know, is this weather going to continue through the weekend? What is it, 71 degrees right now? Man, that's gorgeous. So we got a lot, as always, we got a lot to talk about today. And now there are seven, ladies and gentlemen, seven people. So you know what all this means? It's going to a runoff. There's no way that anybody now, logistically, is going to be able to get anywhere near 50% of this vote. And we don't even have everybody in just yet. So we've got Duke Buckner, who we talked to yesterday. We got Russell Fry. We got Mark Lynch, who we'll talk to at 4:35. We've got Mark McBride, former mayor of Myrtle Beach. We got Chuck Nielsen. We've got Ralph Norman, Congressman Ralph Norman, and Samuel Shepard, all running for this seat. It's going to be, it's already a crowded field. And it's going to get even more crowded because we still don't have Darlene Graham on this list. We still don't have Mark Sanford on this list. And there may be other people. I mean, everybody was talking about maybe Pam Avett running for this seat. No word from her camp just yet. So we'll see what happens with it. Now, there is going to be a debate coming up on Monday, August the 3rd. That's Monday, August the 3rd. Going to be carried on television here locally, basically all over the state. And the big question for that is, who's going to participate in that debate? That's going to be, that's going to be interesting to see. Are we going to get everybody in on this debate? Because I heard last night, and I'll be honest with you, I've only heard this one place, haven't heard it anywhere else, but I did hear last night that there's a good chance that Darlene Graham might not be running or participating in this debate. And that's a shame. That's a real shame because we need everybody. Russell Fry has already said, listen, the voters need to hear from everybody, so everybody needs to debate. Would love to get him on the program, but we will see. Darlene will fill Lindsay's footsteps of selectively representing the will of the citizen voters of the upstate and South Carolina. I don't know. Let's see. Charlie, can you please share the link website to get the Patriot scores of our representatives? That is, let me see if I can remember it, freedomindex.us. Freedomindex.us is the website, one of the websites that I go to for freedom indexes, so you can always check that out. But we do have a little more news about Darlene Graham. Okay, got a little more news. We'll give that to you coming up in just a little bit. But this is going to be a very big money race. Already, we've got a lot of people throwing a ton of money, especially behind Darlene Graham for this race. This is going to be big, big money. And this is a very short runway. But it's the 24th right now. When we go and we look at just how long we got, 1 week, we got 2 weeks, we got about 2.5 weeks. Yeah, about 2.5 weeks to get this thing done. So we'll see what happens. It's going to get wild. It's going to get woolly. And we'll see who comes out in the end. But again, you got to get out and vote. This is good. It is absolutely paramount that everybody get out and vote in this election because not only in this election, but also in the runoff on the 25th. Now, early voting for this race is going to be August 5th, 6th, and 7th. That's August 5th, 6th, and 7th. Then, for the runoff, that early voting, from what I hear, is going to be the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st. That's the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st for early voting in the runoff election, which, like I said, this thing is absolutely going to 100%. But how little time do we have? You know, I would love to hear, because I want to know all of this stuff. You know, we talked with Duke Buckner yesterday. Duke Buckner said, yes, he supports the Save America Act. Duke Buckner said, no, he does not support doing away with the filibuster. Then when I pushed him on that, it was like, he's like, well, I would do away with this. We would do away with the filibuster as it stands, but go back to the standing filibuster. Well, that would be a viable alternative for me, so we'll have to see what happens. But other than that, I mean, we know how Ralph Norman, because he's talked about this before on this program, feels about that. But would love to hear from Darlene Graham, and I want to hear from you folks. Let me know what you think. What is going to happen in this race? WRD Talk Line, 800-9050-989. That's also the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line. Let's see, who are we going to go to here, John? We got Rob in Westminster. How you doing, Rob?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to throw my hat in the ring too. Everybody else.
Okay. It's good. Hey, Rob, if you got $10,400, you can go ahead and file today. You can get that done.
Lord have mercy.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm looking forward to your interview with Mark Lynch.
Yeah.
I loved his testimonial. He was on your show before. I love his testimonial about how he turned everything around.
Yeah.
And but him or Ralph Norman is what I'd be choosing.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds good. I appreciate it, Rob. Thank you very, very much. Let's see. Charlie, the clerk at QT, to the entire staff of the Lawrence Road Starbucks, and the guy selling flowers beside Pleasantburg, South Pleasantburg, all told me they're filing to run. Everybody gets a shot at senator. Here's what we need to do. We need to have a lottery. Everybody just go in, put in your $2. What do you think about this? Everybody that wants it, just go in, put your $2. We'll put everybody's name in a big tumbler. We'll tumble it around a few times and pick out a name, and that's going to be our next senator for the next 6 years. I know. Dangerous, right? Dangerous. All right. So when we get back, first of all, coming up a little bit later on, we got the Media Research Center's worst quotes of the week. And the DNC Rules Committee has decided, that's the Democrat Rules Committee here in South Carolina, has made a determination about the Democrat primaries for 2028. We'll tell you about that. And we've got looks like Jim Clyburn is very concerned about some of the new Democrats. All that's coming up. But when we get back, was it a hate crime in New York City? Yeah, you better believe it was. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Grit, truth, and a whole lot of common sense. It's the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
text, or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Whenever something happens that involves a white individual and an individual of color, and the white individual does something to the individual of color, they always rush to two words: hate crime. That's first and foremost. That is the first place they always go, hate crime. That's what it is. Oh, it's undoubtedly a hate crime. And then you get Al Sharpton, and you get all of these people over there, and they're all talking about hate crimes and this and that and the other thing. But whenever it's reversed or slightly different in any other way, then they're like, we don't know what happened. Yeah, I don't know if this was a hate crime or not. Because you see, their version, and this is historically the way it's always been, there is only one group of people that can commit a hate crime. According to the radical left and the radical mainstream media, there's only one group of people that can commit a hate crime. And I'm sitting right dab in the middle of it. White males. We're the only ones. We're the only ones that commit a hate crime. That's just like, that's why we hate you. There you go. They were the only ones that can do it. We're the only ones that can commit a hate crime. Anybody else? No, they got to do, it's still early days, and we got to do an investigation, and this might be a mental health issue. Well, it happened again today. Two people were stabbed by a man shouting, Allahu Akbar. Two men stabbed near Central Park. The suspect yelled, Allahu Akbar. One of them was a Jewish gentleman wearing a yarmulke. He was stabbed in the torso, and an Asian man was stabbed in the back near Central Park. The suspect, Raul Morales, shouted Allahu Akbar during both attacks. So now that means God is great in Arabic. All right. So that's when a Muslim does something like this, they always shout Allahu Akbar. But no. We don't know if this is a hate. Yes, hate crime. Absolutely. 100%. Write it down, put it in the books. Now, I'm not a big proponent of hate crimes, but if that is the set of rules that we're going to go by, then this was a hate crime. If we're going to go by their language and their rules, well, that's it. This is a hate crime. You're going to tell me someone shouting a Muslim saying stabs a Jewish guy in Central Park, and that's not hate? No, of course it is. Of course it is. But that's the thing. I don't even know anything about this guy, Raul Morales, 51 years old. I don't know anything about him, but let's say he is an Islamist. Okay? How much longer are we going to tolerate this? How much longer? This country is being overrun by radical Islam. I just saw the latest attack in New York City. Whether this was somebody that was Islamic or somebody that was just mimicking the Islamic way. I don't know. We'll find out. But it just seems like even Letitia James, now listen to this. This is what Letitia James said.
What I do want to say is that it's really critically important that individuals understand that anti-Semitic acts have been growing in the city of New York. It's really critically important. And then also acts against the Asian community have also been on the increase. So it's important that I stand with my Jewish friends, that I stand with my Asian friends, that I let everyone know that there should not be any space between any of us.
Wait a minute. Hold on, Letitia. Hold on. Because you've got the biggest anti-Semite in New York City at Gracie Mansion because he's the governor of New York. Mamdani is, his anti-Jewish rhetoric has been absolutely off the charts. And even some Jewish leaders are blasting Mamdani's rhetoric as they look into these stabbings. He's the one that's fueling all of this in New York. And as far as the Asian crime, people, oh my gosh, anti-Asian crimes have been on the rise in New York for a long time now. Long time. So, I don't know. It's just so unbelievable that they always say, oh, no, oh, yeah, we don't know. Yeah, we have no idea. We got no idea. We don't know what's happening there. So, Charlie, it means Allah is greatest, more than great. Meaning, oh, hush. We all know what it means. Good Lord. Somebody's going to, I could say I'm wearing loafers today, and they'd say, no, Charlie, you're wearing canoe shoes. Charlie, this country is being overrun by radical Islam? LOL. What do you mean? What do you mean, LOL? What do you mean, LOL? What do you mean, LOL? Look at Texas. Look at what's going on in Texas. They're actually building a community in Texas that, guess what, is going to, if their plans go through, be under Sharia law. No. I guess, you know what? You are 389. You're one of those people that would be standing around going, well, how'd this happen? You got to be forward thinking. Let's go to Mike in Bowling Springs. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing pretty good on this Friday afternoon.
All
nice
right.
cooler temperature.
Yes, great.
Yeah, as long as we have idiots and lunatics in power, it's always going to be liberals and one-sided when it comes down to the race card.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
And if we get rid of the idiots, I think some common sense might actually come into play, and people might actually see the light, but they would rather live in the darkness of stupidity and ignorance.
Well, and you're right about that, Mike. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. In fact, there was a woman that spoke over in England a couple of, I guess, of last week. She was a headmaster, known as England's strictest headmaster, and she said that people like the cops that showed up when that young man Henry Novak was murdered by an Islamist. He was stabbed by an Islamist. And Henry Novak was lying on the ground, bleeding, literally bleeding to death. And the police were making sure that the Islamist who stabbed Henry Novak, they were making sure he was okay. They handcuffed Henry Novak while he was on the ground, bleeding to death. And he said, I've been stabbed. And one of the police officers says, I don't think you have, mate. But he had. They did that because that's the way, not police training, but overall training, not just police training, but overall training. People are so afraid of being seen as racist that they will excuse anything. They really will. If it means they will do anything to keep from being seen as racist. That's why we saw all of that corruption go on in Minneapolis with the Somalians, because they were threatened. These different departments were threatened. If you report or if you bring up that there is fraud and corruption going on in the Minneapolis government, we're going to label you as racist. And so what did they do? They sat on their hands and they shut their mouths. Man. But that's the only way to shut you up. That's the only way they think that they can shut you up. You're a racist, or you're a homophobe, or you're an Islamophobe, or you're blah, blah, blah. And there are a lot of people out there that instead of being called that will simply do nothing. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of non-stop breaking news and stimulating talk jumpstarts every hour on the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9
WORD.
the voice of the Carolinas. Charlie Speaks. You listen on your time. Get the show on demand. Text podcast to 800-905-0989. The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, welcome back to the program. Well, Jackie Cawley has a very special request, ladies and gentlemen, so here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Jessie's the Chula. Happy birthday to you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yep, Jesse, your sister Jackie wants you to have the best birthday ever. Welcome back to the program. Let's go to Doug in Simpsonville. How you doing, Doug?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Good talking to you again. Can you hear me okay? I'm outside
Okay.
at a restaurant, so
All
I'm
right.
a little worried that...
No, you sound good. Everything's good. Good. What's up?
All right, sir. First of all, thank you for the comments you were making before the break.
Yeah.
I think we've got to face up to the basic issue of what is compatible with the United States of America and what was established, what the principles of the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. And Islam is not. And that's an ugly truth, but
Yeah.
we have to face up to it.
Right.
And so, I don't have all the answers to this, but we're going to have to deal with it. So that's, and as you said, it's hard for us to do that because the first thing that happens is people, saying you're anti-Islam, you're
Yeah.
Islamophobia. Well, what is phobia?
It means you're afraid of
phobia-
it.
Well, it's not afraid of it. It's an unnatural fear.
Yeah.
Like somebody that is unnaturally afraid of a spider and can't just take a napkin and crush it.
Yeah, they can't function when it's around. Yeah.
My fear of radical Islam is not unnatural. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
And I appreciate it, Doug. Thank you. Enjoy your meal. I'm not afraid of Islam. I'm not afraid of Islam. But what concerns me is the actions of the adherents to it. That's what worries me. In New York City, did you know this? And I told you about this yesterday, but that was later in the show. In New York City, they're looking at not sending police officers to domestic violence situations. Now, you have to wonder why. What is Zohran Mamdani? He's an Islamist. What does Islam Sharia law say about the way a man can treat his wife? He can beat his wife as long as he doesn't leave marks or cause serious injury. He can beat her. So if there's an Islamic man beating on an Islamic woman, well, they don't think the police should get involved because if the police show up and there's a domestic violence case, somebody's got to go to jail. I think that's still the law in the state of New York. You show up at a domestic violence call, somebody's leaving in the squad car. Might be the husband, might be the wife, don't know. Whichever way it goes, somebody's leaving in handcuffs. Well, they don't want that to happen to Islamic men. So they're saying, oh, no, we're just going to send a social worker to these domestic violence cases. That's not going to end well. I guarantee that. Well, my friends over there at the Media Research Center, they work very hard trying to figure out what the worst clips of the week are, the worst quotes are for each week from the media. I want you to listen to this because they put together a very interesting video with some good candidates. Here we go.
These people will not stand up for their own kids.
They're not voting because they're trying to defraud the system. They might have cast a ballot because they just weren't aware.
They weren't aware that they weren't a citizen of the United States?
Is this accurately described as fraud?
ICE officer could see these little kids and think, oh, are they from Honduras? Are they from Bolivia? Are they from a whole country? That is the type of duplicity and homicidal hypocrisy that this administration stands for.
MAGA is the closest thing to the modern version of a Nazi party. This is America's version. It's the closest thing.
Yeah, so head over to Media Research Center and vote in their poll that they have. I tell you what, there is no, I mean, you can just look. You don't even have to know a whole lot about these women. Jennifer Welch and Angie Sullivan, you don't have to know a whole lot about them. You can just look at them and tell they're filled with hatred. They're filled with anger. They're not pleasant. They're not pleasant. And to think, anyway, it really, but what got me was Abby Phillips. So understand, this is where we've gone. This is where we've gone from. We have gone from illegal aliens are not voting in our elections. We've gone from that to, okay, illegal aliens are voting in our elections, but do they really know that's wrong? Do they have any idea that that's wrong? Is that really fraud? Yeah, it is fraud. Absolutely. Let's go to Tommy from Spartanburg. Tommy, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you what, the reason why I think that we're having this problem with these DSA idiots may not be the whole reason, but part of the reason is we give them air.
What do you mean?
They remind me of my children when they were little, laying in their crib, screaming, and then they would stop and look around to see if anybody's listening to them.
Okay.
Pretty soon they got tired of screaming because nobody was paying attention.
But that's the thing, though. People are paying attention to them.
I understand that, but that's because we give them air.
And when you say we, who is we?
Everybody. I mean, they all do a lot of talking, but they don't really say anything.
Right. And there's a whole lot of, but wait, because you just had one win in New York. You're about to have one win in Michigan. You had one win in Colorado. You got many, many more coming. So somebody's listening to them.
Oh, absolutely. But I foresee here in the near future that there's going to be a whole lot of Democrats running for office as independents.
You might be right about that. Yeah, I will have to see how that works out. Appreciate it, Tommy. Let's go to Gerald in Cowpens. Gerald, welcome.
Charlie, I think there's still a law on the books here in South Carolina that you could take your wife in front of City Hall on Sunday morning and beat her.
Yeah, as long as the stick is no bigger than your thumb. Right. Let me tell you something. Now, I'll be honest with you. I've been in radio going on 40 years. 40 years now. I know, right? I know, it's crazy. But it just seems like all throughout my radio career, that's what I've heard. Charlie, did you know in South Carolina it is legal for you to take your wife on the courthouse steps and beat her in public? I have never seen, I've always put it out there, and I'll do it again. Show me that law. Show me where that law was ever in existence. And if it was ever repealed, show me where that law was repealed. I think it's an old wives' tale that just will not go away. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
You've stepped into the Upstate Talk Octagon. A few left jabs and a lot of right uppercuts. It's the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
the communities.
Tap and type your message on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, we are seeing these DSA candidates, just shaping up everywhere. Not just New York, other places as well. California, Michigan. They got the guy El Sayed running in Michigan. This is a problem, but right now, initially, this problem is for the Democrat Party. And they're trying to get ahead of it as best they can because they're worried. They are scared to death of the DSA. And it's just the socialists. You can drop the whole Democrat part of it. They're just socialist through and through. So the Democrats have now solidified the DNC Rules Committee, just locked in South Carolina as the first 2028 primary state. The very first primary state in 2028 is going to be South Carolina. Now, this is going to get ahead of Nevada. It's going to get ahead of New Hampshire. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to move more and appeal to the white moderate voters and the black heavy electorate so that the field will get filtered before the DSA left wing or activist energy in other states can start to run away with it. And that is good. That's going to happen. That's going to be a very serious problem for the Democrats. Because if all of a sudden, so let's just say here you are in South Carolina and we're like maybe we're the fifth or sixth state to have a primary, even before like or even a Super Tuesday state, you start seeing that DSA momentum, Lord knows what's going to happen. That's going to it's going to be interesting to see in that presidential primary what happens. It really is. So basically the same dynamic, and this is exactly why Joe Biden got elected the way he did back in 2020. Because Jim Clyburn, I mean, if you go back and you look at it, in the polls, Joe Biden was dead. He was going absolutely nowhere in that primary. And then Jim Clyburn comes along. He endorses Joe Biden here in South Carolina. Biden wins the South Carolina primary, and he was off to the races. Had a caller a couple of days ago saying he was kind of surprised that just for such a small state as we are, smallish state as we are, it is amazing how much political power we have. And yes, we do have a lot of political power. But that's how Joe Biden got that nomination, because of Jim Clyburn. So we got all of these. We got a bunch of foreign-born, naturalized minority voters in the Democratic primary coalition, especially there in the urban centers, the very coalition that Democrats cultivated for national wins. We're talking about growing foreign-born, growing naturalized, growing minority voters, especially, like I said, in the urban centers. That's becoming a liability to the Democrats in these primaries. So if they front load, that's what they call it. They're going to try to front load all of these states that they're pretty sure their candidate, not the DSA candidate, is going to win in. Then they're going to hope to build momentum off of that coming up in 2028. But we're going to see. We're going to have to see if that works. So even Jim Clyburn now is coming out, and we'll have a bit more about this story coming up. But you know what he's trying to do? Let me tell you what he's trying to do. He's trying to label the DSA as, how can I put, racist? Is he saying they're racist? I think he's saying they're racist. I think Jim Clyburn is trying to insinuate that the DSA, especially with people like El Sayed in Michigan, they're racist. Because he said there weren't a whole lot of people in that crowd that looked like him. That's going to be, do you think that's going to be the way they do it? Do you think they're going to look at all of these rallies? Do you think they're going to look at people like, Plattner and whoever this guy is that came after Plattner and go, hey, Democrat socialist, why aren't you guys electing, some people of color? That's going to be interesting to see. It really is. Could you imagine the Democrats? I'm sorry, what did you say? Yeah, what if the population? Yeah, I don't know. They don't care if the population's only 1% African American. They don't care. They want many, many more African Americans there than are represented in the state. And listen, when you get to Maine, New Hampshire, when you get to Rhode Island and Connecticut, I mean, the black population is minuscule. I know. I mean, I go up to Rhode Island about twice a year, and I always chuckle. I always have to chuckle because I get there, and inevitably, in one of these beautiful homes in westerly Rhode Island and over in Stoningtonboro, Connecticut, somewhere in those homes, there will be a sign that says Black Lives Matter. And I have to look around, and I go, where do Black Lives Matter? Because I don't see any here. I saw some. They were tourists. They were getting ice cream. They were from New York. That was it. That's all I saw. They were over there at the carousel. That's it. That's all I've seen since I've been here. You see, they don't know. It's just a slogan for them. But it's going to be turned against the DSA. That's exactly what's going to happen. We'll talk more about that coming up because it's actually a lot deeper subject than what I just went over. Also, President Trump has weighed in on data centers. We'll kind of break down a little bit what he said about that. And I've got a video I want you to hear about one of these data centers. Now, this is natural audio, what they call natural audio, of the data center construction that's going on in Spartanburg. I want you to hear that. That's coming up in just a little bit. But when we get back, a lot of money is going into the South Carolina campaign of one Darlene Graham. We'll tell you about it next. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Giving the left heartburn. Afternoons 3 to 7. It's the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk.
Charlie.
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
America is back.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to the program. Well, you know, we all got the big race coming up. 7 people have filed to be the next senator from the great state of South Carolina. This is going to, well, no, not going to be. It's already a big money race. Lots of money being poured into this thing already, and she hasn't even signed the paperwork yet. But I want you to, I'm going to play you something that is absolutely going to blow your mind. All right? This is done by Pink Zinnia B. I don't know who that is, but somebody sent me this song that was written. Let's take a listen to this.
Well, darling, you came strolling in with every door held wide. Never built a record, just inherited the ride. The insiders raised a toast before the race began, calling it democracy with a carefully written plan. Oh, darling, darling, Washington's favorite queen, born with every blessing, backed by the machine. No years on the front lines, no battles hard and long, yet somehow every headline says you can't be wrong. The consultants wrote the speeches, the donors set the pace, the grassroots kept on wondering who picked this in the first place. Oh, darling, darling, always camera clean, every answer polished, every edge unseen.
Wow, that I tell you what, I've heard a lot of campaign songs in my life, but that was absolutely fantastic. So, Pink Zinnia B, whomever you are, that was absolutely fantastic. So, money, money, money that is going into this campaign. Already, we've got, let me see here. There's a group out there called Security is Strength. It's a PAC, and they came about in order to prop up Lindsey Graham. They are going to be spending $419,896 on this campaign on television advertising. Push Digital LLC is going to be spending, looks like $200,000. The subtotal of these expenditures, $619,896. That's a lot of, that's buku dinero. Buku dinero. I do think there was a press release put out by, Security strength, saying in total they're going to spend around $900,000. They're going to be doing high-frequency digital advertising on all the platforms, direct mail campaigns, targeted text messaging, television advertising. And what are the messages? They're going to have carrying the legacy forward. That's going to be a big one. Affordability for South Carolina families, border security, and the rule of law. So that's what they're going to be weighing in on, okay? So she, because I follow her over on X, she put this out today. When was it? It was, around 10 o'clock this morning. President Trump was elected with a mandate to clean up the immigration catastrophe created by Joe Biden. I applaud the work the president has done to secure the southern border, but there's more to be done. That's why I'm proud to back common sense immigration policy changes that support the president's efforts to remove dangerous illegal aliens from our communities. These provisions will destroy the incentives that entice illegal immigration in the first place and keep law-abiding American citizens safe. Here are the bills that she is backing. Let me see here. Legislation to end the abuse of birthright citizenship. She's backing the Birthright Citizenship Act of 2025. She is backing the legislation to crack down on sanctuary cities. She is backing legislation to protect law-abiding American citizens' opportunity and safety in the mandatory E-Verify Act, the Be Gone Act, the Detention Authority Clarification Act, and the Flight Risk Reduction Act. And are there more? Yep, legislation to support law enforcement, the ICE Protection Act of 2026, the Protecting Law Enforcement from Doxing Act, the 287G Expansion Act, and the Stop Illegal Alien Cops Act. Also, fraud, additional immigration legislation. I mean, she's hitting a lot of the right things here, though. But my question for Darlene Graham, and it's going to be the same question for all of the candidates, how are you going to get it done? How do you think, I mean, honestly, if you've got that 60-vote threshold that you have to get over in the Senate, do you think the Democrats are going to allow you to pass the Birthright Citizenship Act, the End Sanctuary Cities Act, the Sanctuary City Elimination Act, the Justice for Victims of Sanctuary Cities? Do you think the Democrats are going to allow any of that legislation through? The Be Gone Act? The Flight Risk Reduction? No. Now, you can get up there and promise the moon. As long as you don't have an avenue to actually pass this legislation, none of that means anything. There is one huge step that you have to overcome before any legislation, any decent legislation, gets passed. And for that, you're going to have to do something about John Thune. And John Thune needs to do away with, or at very least, change the way the filibuster is done. Now, had we done, it was weeks ago, months ago, that everybody was saying, listen, if you don't want to get rid of the filibuster totally, do away with the zombie filibuster. No more of this 60-vote threshold. No more going directly to that. If these Democrats want to get up there and debate, make them. Make them debate. Make them stand on the floor of the Senate without leaning on anything. No crutches. No, well, I guess AMA would not allow that. But you can't lean on anything. Can't take a break. No, oops, I got to go to the bathroom. You have to talk continuously. And then the next person gets up. If we had done that when everybody was calling for it, it'd be over by now. But then you do have a few so-called Republican holdouts in there, like Murkowski, questionable on Susan Collins, certainly Mitch McConnell. But here's what I would do, Darlene Graham, if I were you. I'd stand up there and make them, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, get in touch with Mike Johnson at the House. Say, listen, Mike, I want you to redo the Save America Act and send it to the Senate. Redo it, vote on it, send it to the Senate, but I want you to make a change. I want you to name it the Lindsey Graham, the Senator Lindsey Graham Save America Act. Send it over to the Senate. And then get John Thune to allow Darlene Graham to get up there and introduce that bill on the House floor and dare those damn Democrats, dare those Republicans to vote against it. And if they are going to vote against it, make them stand on the floor and debate it. That's what I would do if I were in charge. We'll be right back. This is the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking news and stimulating talk begins every hour, every afternoon on The Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. Chat with Charlie.
800-905-0989. Save it on your phone.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
I guess I was about 10 years old when the B-1A bomber came out, and it was canceled by Jimmy Carter just a couple of years later. But I had this model, and I put that model together, and it was so. I used to do models all the time, airplane models. I got into NASCAR models for a little bit, but the airplane models were my absolute favorite. But I thought that B-1 bomber was just so very cool. Well, now we got the B-1B bomber, and it is being used for the first time in the Iranian war. We have deployed the B-1 bomber. U.S. Central Command deployed the B-1 during its mission on Tuesday, signaling a significant escalation in U.S. attacks in Iran. The B-1B Lancer can fly at supersonic speeds while carrying 75,000-pound payload, according to the Air Force. We don't know what or where it was used. The U.S. launched an 11th night of strikes against Iran last night. U.S. Central Command announced, sharing video from the attacks. In a statement, U.S. Central Command said the strikes targeted Iranian military operations centers, maritime capabilities, aircraft hangars, drone storage facilities, and military logistics. So that's going to continue. That's going to continue until they learn their lesson. Or at least, let me just say this. With gas, I came in today, $3.80-something a gallon. Yep, popped up a little bit over the past couple of days. We got to get this thing done. Whatever it takes to bring that leadership in that country to their knees, that's what needs to be done. That's what's got to be done. So, but we are making some progress because now Great Britain, which what we hear, that's where those B-1s are launching from. They're allowing us to use their airspace. We've also got a bunch of foreign countries saying that they're going to share in keeping the Strait of Hormuz safe. So a lot of that is good news. We just got to handle the main thing, and that's Iran and making sure they never have a nuclear weapon, and they give up control of the Strait of Hormuz or whatever control that they assume that they have. WRD Talk Line, 800-9050-989. That's also the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line. Let's go to Donald in Hartwell, Georgia. How you doing, Donald?
Well, now, Charlie, you was talking about the B-1 bomber. I was at an air show in Athens, Georgia, and this was in the early 90s. And the B-1 bomber was the main attraction.
Oh, I bet.
And it came. The guys kept talking about it, on the loudspeaker. It was a big air show, and the guys kept talking about it on the loudspeakers. Well, he's coming from the south, and he'll be here in 5 minutes. That thing came over. And it was 300 to 600 feet off the deck. And when he come by, he went straight up. And when he went straight up, you could see right up his exhaust.
Oh, wow.
And every car that was in the parking lot that had an alarm system went off. That's how loud it was.
Oh, really?
And listen to this. Have you ever been to a drag strip, a top fuel drag strip?
Yeah.
You smell nitromethane?
Oh, yeah.
That's what that thing. It's nitromethane and kerosene mixed in that aircraft. That's what it smelled like. I don't know if that's what it is, but that's what it smelled like.
Yeah, I bet. You know what? I can tell you from Hartwell, Georgia, because you sound just like Louis Grizzard. You sound just like Louis Grizzard, buddy.
Well, hell, I just got off work. I
there
work my ass off. I'm 6 years old. That's it. But that's exactly what it smelled like. You've been in a drag strip. You smell nitromethane. You know what it smells like.
I do.
They're mixing kerosene and nitromethane.
That's
together.
Amazing. Amazing. I appreciate it, Donald.
Burns that thing.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
You have a great afternoon. I used to live, when I was living in Augusta, grew up, our house was very near Daniel Field. So we had Bush Field, which was the big airport, the bigger airport in Augusta. And then we had Daniel Field. And we had an air show. It was a fly-in at Daniel Field. And one of the videos, everybody was when I say that we probably lived 400, it might have only been about 300 yards from this airport. Now, mainly it was little propeller, private light aircraft coming in Nothing real major. But one year we had two Harrier jump jets go into it was called the Boshears Fly-In. We had two Harrier jump jets come into the Boshears Fly-In, and they flew over our house on a Saturday morning. I thought those things were in the house with me. They were so loud. Unbelievable. Love those air shows. Let's go to Steve in Greenville. Steve, welcome.
What's going on today?
You are. What's happening, man?
I'm just telling you, go to select restaurant in Greer. That's a free advertisement.
Okay.
Because it's just so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
And if it's not Kelly taking care of you, it's one of the other ones.
Yeah.
And then all the time. But that's not why I called. I
Okay.
called because anybody in their right mind needs to understand the only person to vote for is Ralph Norman.
Okay.
He's the only person to vote for.
All right.
In the Senate race.
Yeah.
And the
okay.
reason why is because he got cheated out of the other. And I'm of the opinion that Trey Gowdy's never done anything in his life except try to look pretty. And it's too late for him.
All right, Steve, I appreciate it. And listen, everybody makes fun of Trey Gowdy's haircut. At least he's got hair to have a haircut with, right? I don't even have that. Well, we're going to be talking with somebody else that would like your vote coming up on August the 11th. We're going to have Mark Lynch joining us. When we get back, it's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking news and stimulating talk begins every hour, every afternoon on The Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas. Interact on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. Text or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, welcome back to the program. Let's go to the phones now and talk to candidate for U.S. Senate, Mark Lynch, who's joining us. Mark, welcome to the program. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well, Charlie. I hope you are.
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. We don't have a whole lot of time until the voters get to the polls. How are you really ramping up getting your message out there?
Our marketing campaign is started. It'll be hitting hard the next two and a half weeks, pushing towards the 11th.
So, I mean, we've got what? We've got 7 people now that have filed for this race. Several more are expected to file over the next few days until Tuesday. What really separates you from all of these other candidates?
The biggest thing that people are tired of that separates me is they're tired of career politicians, Charlie. You know, Ralph Norman was running for governor and leaving his House seat, and he lost that. Now he's running for U.S. Senate, and, you know, we have Darlene jumping in. She's been endorsed by President Trump, and everybody's really concerned about that. And then we have Russell Fry coming in, and Darlene and Russell have been given extra favors in the election rules in our state. Darlene didn't vote in the last 2 out of 3 primaries, but they're letting her run, you know, changing the rules for her. Russell Fry is running for 2 races, and you can't do that, but they're allowing him to do that. If he loses in the U.S. Senate, he gets to keep his House seat. So it's amazing watching how all of this is unraveling, and our government is breaking their own rules to let these other candidates run.
It is kind of amazing what's going on. Do you think that the SCGOP is going to give Darlene a waiver?
I guess they are. Everybody's waiting to see what they're going to do.
Well, a couple of the things that really I want to happen with our next senator from South Carolina, I want to make sure that we get the Save America Act passed, and I'm pretty sure that you support the Save America Act, right?
Yes, we've been talking about that for months, you know, in the campaign that we launched over 2 years ago that God called us to get in the U.S. Senate run while Lindsey was the incumbent. You know, so we need a clean SAVE Act bill. I'm very disappointed, you know, that, and Ralph voted for it, for the NDAA bill to merge our military intelligence with another foreign country's military intelligence. That's a violation of our Constitution. We're losing our sovereignty in America.
It does seem like, I mean, I had questions about that thing, that NDAA as well. So in order to get the Save America Act passed, we're going to have to overcome the filibuster. Would you be in favor of doing away with the filibuster to get important legislation like this passed?
Again, I was the first one to talk about it probably 4 or 5 months ago, Charlie.
Yeah.
We have to nuke the filibuster. And like I said before, as a U.S. Senator, I'll form a committee and make a motion to vacate John Thune if he's still blocking it, or have him fire the parliamentarian that he has the authority to do if she's playing games with the rules.
Yeah.
So it's time to stop playing these games. We've got to get back to business and run the country.
Everybody's talking about data centers. Do you think there should be some restrictions on data centers here in the United States?
Yes. I mean, the bigger question is, why do we need all these data centers all of a sudden? You know, we're moving towards the fulfillment of the Agenda 2030 with AI and these flock cameras that I would ban immediately. We're losing our rights. You know, we're private citizens, and our government is public. We get to see what they're doing because they're our employees, but they don't have the rights to violate our Fourth Amendment.
It does seem like that's exactly what's happening every single day. What are some of the other issues that you're really concerned about as far as South Carolina and the nation in general?
Well, we have to end the foreign ownership of our American farmland.
Yeah.
We're losing our land to China, and we're doing away with our farming. We're buying our beef in Argentina. Farmers can't make it. There's too much bureaucracy and red tape preventing them from finishing the final phase of taking the meat to market, and we have to stop the institutional purchases of single-family homes by big corporations that are buying up our homes and creating price fixing and in the inflationary cycle that we're in, making affordability just hard to meet. South Carolinians are screaming about that. Nobody can pay the prices for the gas and the homes and the groceries and all the things we're all struggling with, and we hear that everywhere. And all these guys that have jumped in, that are running, what did they do while they were in office? They talk about it now, but why didn't they lead while in the House and start tackling these issues that we're all struggling with in our state?
We are struggling, and there was a study recently that came out that said illegal immigration was the cause for about a 30% jump in housing prices. We've still got an immigrant problem in this country, don't we?
Yes, I see the unmarked buses recently on Woodruff Road dropping off illegal aliens at the Raceway gas station twice a week.
Yeah.
We haven't solved anything, and we haven't participated in the 287G process to train our local sheriff's departments and police officers so that they have the rights to arrest, detain, and deport illegal aliens to help support the ICE officers. You know, it's a big project, and we have never tapped into that.
So there's going to be a debate coming up Monday, August the 3rd. Are you going to be participating in that?
Yes.
And what message? I mean, I hope everybody does, but from what we're hearing, there's a possibility not everybody is going to be participating in that debate.
Yeah, we're planning on going to it if it happens. You know, we're waiting to see if everybody else is coming. So we won't be the only one there. We'll be there if the rest are coming. And you know, it's time to be a true America First senator. That's what I'll be. You know, I talk about subjects nobody else talks about banning the flock cameras and the surveillance that's happening all around in our state and in the country. We've done some videos on that and making sure the public knows about our rights to privacy and surveillance, because it'll move us towards social scoring, Charlie. That's what's happening to the citizens of China, and they're bringing that here to us to watch us and to pin us down in invisible prison camps and control our ability to get to our money or leave our homes. And so I hope people are understanding what all of this is for, and that's why the data centers are coming in. And we wake up and they bulldozed, 50 acres of wooded forest, and we're told that's where a data center is going to go. We got to stop all the evil stuff that's coming up against us.
I believe we're in about the 12th night now of bombing over in Iran. Do you support the president's initiatives in Iran?
Mostly. I definitely agree that we cannot let Iran get a hold of a nuke. But, I'm more focused, too, on what's happened here in America with Islamic infiltration into our country and the Chinese Communist parties and the flock cameras and the selling of our land and all the other national security threats we're not dealing with right here on American soil.
Does the rise of the Democrat Socialist of America, does that concern you?
Absolutely. Why are we even, putting up with any of that?
Yeah,
the Chinese Communist Party, the Democrat Socialist, Islamic people, terrorists. It's crazy.
It really is. We live in dangerous times right now. Well, Mark, how can people find out more about you, maybe even contribute to your campaign?
Yes, thank you. Go to lynchforsenate.com. Again, we didn't jump in this race. We were in it, and we were the only one that's ever penetrated against Lindsey Graham as far as we did, up to 30%, and we're finishing the race. So go to lynchforsenate.com, and you can go to Mark Lynch SC on Facebook and keep up with our posts and news. And we definitely need donations. It takes a lot of money, and I'm not being supported by all these big PAC monies from the federal government that are planning on installing who they want. That's another election integrity issue I want people to think about. The rules that are being broken for their favorite candidates from D.C. down to Columbia. It's just amazing. Are we able to vote in a free election anymore?
That's a very good point. Mark Lynch, running for Senate from South Carolina, will be. We appreciate it, Mark. Thank you. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Take care. All right, we'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
You're locked into the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. Charlie Speaks. You listen on your time. Get the show on demand. Text podcast to 800-905-0989. The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, President Trump has weighed in on data centers. I want you to listen to what, where is it? What did he say here? I got to get this data center. Here's what Trump said about China and data centers.
They're really spending a tremendous amount of money. In other words, they're the governors in the room. You have great governors in this room. And these companies are spending tremendous amounts of money on the communities, the local communities. So I think it's important that we tell the local communities that, because other nations are trying to get us to slow down, and they're spending a lot of money on propaganda, on press, PR, trying to convince everybody that this isn't a positive thing. And if we don't do this, we're going to be left behind.
Okay. So now we hear that they're building a data center at the Savannah River site. Do you know what I say to that? Awesome. I love it. Build a data center at the Savannah River site down in Barnwell. Go ahead. Build away. I think it's a great place to do it. The problem is with the communities. Now, what President Trump says is that and you got to listen to what we're saying, the construction will bring a tremendous number of jobs. But what about when the construction is over? I was talking to somebody on the phone on the WRD talk line a few days ago, and they said just to have a data center, it only takes about 27 employees, maybe less than that, depending on the size. But here's what President Trump said about communities and data centers. Let's see. Is this it? Maybe. Nope, that's not it. Let's okay, here we go.
Because you have to convince your community how great these things. You can't fight it. You have to go with it. And you're going to have all that protection, and we're giving you automatic protection, but you're going to make a tremendous amount of money. You're going to reduce taxes, and you're going to have something that if you don't have it, everybody else wants it.
Okay, but here's what I don't understand. How? How does a data, and somebody explain it to me. How does a data center make money? Can I go out and start the Charlie James Data Center and make money off of that? How does it make money? But you see, that's not what the communities are worried about. They're worried about the environment. They're worried about the air quality. They're worried about the water quality. They're worried about and what President Trump is saying is, well, these data centers are going to make their own electricity. Okay. Well, you just can't make energy. The only energy cannot be created, it cannot be destroyed. The only thing you can do is convert energy. So how are they what are they converting to generate the electricity for all these data centers? Natural gas. In a lot of cases, natural gas. That's a big one. So that's going to be a lot more natural gas, being used. And if you don't think that our gas companies are going to jack your rates up, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but they're also worried about the noise. I want you to listen to this. This is over at South Pine Street. It's the power plant data center chemical storage site, and this goes on 24 hours a day. Could you imagine living next to that? Let's take a listen to that again. Dude, I'm a kid. I'm thinking that's a dragon. That's a dragon coming right there. So, unbelievable. I don't know. If you're in a community and you want a data center and all of the citizens of your community want a data center, God bless you. enjoy your data center. But I think the people that are in these communities that are fighting against these data centers, I think because they're American citizens, they're tax-paying citizens, they're tax-paying South Carolinians, we should listen to them too. 100%. All right? So anyway, let's go to Jeff in Greenwood. Jeff, welcome.
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah.
We're in the process of, they just passed a one-year moratorium on getting a data center here.
Yeah.
We went to the meetings and stuff, and at this point, I'm against them. But some of the things that they brought out, I don't know how they're making money, but these people have a lot of money. They were telling these little communities, like here, they said that they would pay $30 million a year to be here for like 30 years or something like that. And it was crazy. And I think a lot of the politicians and municipalities and people like that are for it because they're getting big bucks for these things to come in.
Yeah, the local government's
I
making
just don't
money.
know about it.
Yeah, I don't either.
I'd like to know, these people that build and own these things, I bet they don't have them near their houses.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right, Jeff. I appreciate it. When we get back, the Save America Act is getting some support from the Convention of States. We'll talk with Mark Meckler coming up next. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
A native Georgia bulldog who bites back at big government. It's the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Hey, Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk. Charlie. Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, the Save America Act is probably the most significant piece of legislation that has come across the House and the Senate in a long time, and it really amazes me. I'm dumbfounded that we cannot get this thing passed, not only because of the Democrats, but also because of some of these rhino Republicans out there that know one thing. They know one thing. If we pass to say, even what was her name, Elise Slotnick, she said it. If the Save America Act is passed, Democrats will have great difficulty winning any elections. Well, they kind of admitted it. She admitted that people are voting that aren't supposed to be on the voter rolls. They know it. They know it's happening. I've even had some people that listen to this show that claim to be Republican. They're like, oh, it's a bad legislation. How is it bad legislation? How is it bad legislation? They'll never give you that. Oh, it's a problem that doesn't exist. Well, we have been finding out more and more that the problem absolutely does exist. It does exist. John Solomon, when is just a couple days ago, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, he did a report that in New Jersey, they had over 6,000 people that were put on the voter rolls because of their motor voter program. Yeah, that's right. 6,000 people. And they tried to blame the company for it. I want you to listen to John Solomon. Now, this is pretty interesting. So remember that Mikey Sherrill blamed the company for the mistake, but listen to this.
As you know, last night, the New Jersey governor admitted that 6,600 illegal aliens had made it onto New Jersey's voter rolls. At least that number, it could be a lot larger. And 400 of them actually cast a vote. That is the largest number of foreigners ever to vote in any collection of an election in American history. When we told you that last night, the governor said, not our fault. It was a software glitch. No big deal. Well, overnight, we reached out to the software company that runs New Jersey's system. And you know what they said? There's no software glitch at all. The state of New Jersey knew they were putting non-citizens, i.e. foreigners, onto the voter rolls. It is the state's responsibility to determine who is eligible to vote and who's not. The software had it marked right. That is a major contradiction. And just a little while ago, the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights in the U.S. Justice Department, Harmeet Dillon, announced that there is an investigation of New Jersey now into whether they knowingly were allowing non-citizens to vote and to get on the voter rolls. Remember, a week ago, she sent a letter out saying, if you let non-citizens vote knowingly, you're in trouble. Well, now the vendor's comments raise the very strong possibility that one of the blue states in America may have acceded to allowing non-citizens to vote. We're going to keep a close eye on that. Hope to get Harmeet Dillon on the show the next couple.
Okay, so somebody asked me a question over on the text line about the Save America Act. If the states are to regulate voting for federal elections, will the Save America Act get shot down by the Supreme Court? No. This isn't the regulation of states' rights in voting. It's not the regulation. But the federal government does have some responsibility in elections. It's not like just we got 50 states and a lot of people think you do, but you don't have just 50 states and they vote however they want. We're talking about the federal government does have some regulations. One of them is you have to be an American citizen. The Constitution says you have to be an American citizen. Well, and I've used this analogy before, if there's a sign on your business that says employees only, you can't just walk in and claim that you're an employee. You have to verify that in some way. Excuse me, sir, do you work here? Yeah, I work here. Yeah, absolutely. Could I see some ID? No. No. I have the right to be here. No, you don't do that. I verify that I'm an employee every day that I come in with my little fob that allows me in the side door. Blim, there I go. It's the responsibility. If the Constitution says only American citizens vote, then it is incumbent for us to make sure that only American citizens vote. So, and doesn't it make the most sense of all that when you vote and you use somebody's name to vote, that you should also have to prove that you are that person? Absolutely. And every single state, red states, blue states, all these states, in their state constitution, has a rule, a law requiring them to go in and purge their voter rolls and make sure that the people that are voting are actually eligible to vote. This just makes sure that's happening. Let's go to Maya in Greenville. Maya, welcome. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How about you, Charlie?
I'm great. What's up?
I want to say I'm 100% agree about what Mr. Mark saying that. Especially about the lands. I'm Iranian also. I want to let you know China is not just getting the lands from here. They got a lot of lands from Middle East, from Iran, because they want to beg. And also about the ICE and police officers. Unfortunately, they do not do anything in Greenville. I'm live here about 15 years right now. And I have a case like I told the police officer, hey, I know a family here, they live illegal. Her brother used to be living Mississippi. He used a social security somebody, get the $50,000 loan, and come here. Do you going to do something if I give it to you the information? The police officer said that, no, I'm not going to do that. And they didn't do any crime. In that time, I work in a restaurant, and he just gone with the food. That's one of
wow.
the thing. Yeah. And the second thing, as a citizen, I'm asking everybody, whoever listens to this channel, please come to vote, because every single vote is important. And
yeah, you're right. No, you're right about that, Maya. Every single vote is important, and we've got to get that. We've got to get these police officers deputized to be ICE agents. I appreciate it. When we get back, we'll talk more about the Save America Act. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Tough on issues, sharp with facts. It's the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Let your fingers do the talking.
Text the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line at 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
The Save America Act is a very significant piece of legislation. We've got to make sure that our elections are safe and secure, and the people over at the Convention of States know all about that. Let's go to Mark Meckler right now. Mark, welcome to the program. Hope you're doing well.
I am. Thanks for having me, Charlie.
So, I mean, you guys really got into this pretty big here recently, didn't you?
Yeah, we did, because so much is at stake, Charlie. Look, if we don't have safe and secure elections, simple things like voter ID and you got to be a citizen to vote, everything downstream from that actually doesn't matter anymore, because we're not in charge of our own government.
So one of the things is, I mean, we know the Democrats are against it, but doesn't it just, I mean, it makes me scratch my head to know that there are some so-called Republicans out there that are against this bill.
Yeah, look, I mean, I struggle to see how anybody's against it. And you say we know the Democrats, but even among the Democrats, the numbers are above 80% of their voters that want this thing. So I think this is going to come home to roost for everybody, Republicans and Democrats, if they don't get this thing done.
I mean, it is literally the most bipartisan issue that I've ever seen. Like you said, 80% of all Americans, Republicans, Democrats, independents, black, white, Hispanic, everybody wants some form of ID shown when they go to the polls. I don't understand. Are the Democrats that afraid of losing elections?
Man, plain and simple, yes, they are, because the way they win elections is they cheat. And we know this. We know it's happening all over the country. It's actually happening in red states and blue states, worse in the blue states where they encourage it. But I really believe if you take away the cheating, they can't win the elections. They know that. That's why they're willing to go all in on this.
Talking with Mark Meckler from Convention of States. So in order to get this passed, we've got to basically either get 60 votes or do away with the filibuster. We're not getting the 60 votes. Should we, or how should we do away with the filibuster?
Well, I mean, the other alternative, which is actually the best way I think we get it done, is they do it through what's called budget reconciliation.
Right.
It's a little bit nuanced, so I'm going to make it simple because I'm a simple guy. If something has a budgetary effect, you can pass it on a simple majority vote as long as the parliamentarian allows it. There's some nuance there too. So they attach $10 billion in spending on this, $10 billion for election security. So now it has a budgetary effect. So that means theoretically the Senate could pass this on a straight party line vote if they can just get the 51 votes.
Well, here's the thing. We hear that John Thune has threatened to strip that out of the reconciliation bill,
which is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I don't understand Thune. I'd go so far right now. He's certainly a traitor to the party.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. He's certainly a traitor to the grassroots. So, I have 6 million grassroots in my organization. I would say to a man and woman, every one of them thinks John Thune is a traitor right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and even the parliamentarian. I mean, that woman could be fired by John Thune very easily, and they could elect a conservative parliamentarian in there, right?
Yeah, this completely blows my mind, and this is where Republicans have always failed to play hardball. I've been doing politics professionally now for 16 years since the Tea Party. This is where Republicans are so bad. You get the power, and then you exercise the power. Otherwise, there's no purpose in having the power. Why would we have a leftist parliamentarian? It makes no sense to me. She should have been removed a long time ago and replaced with somebody who's friendly to Republicans.
There is a theory that is being passed around there, mostly by me, that the Republicans really don't want to win. They want to be in the minority.
It's certainly, that's not a bad theory. It is easier being in the minority. You're not forced to get anything done. Your job becomes just to complain about the other party. And certainly that's been my experience in most of my life in politics, is it seems like the Republicans prefer the minority. They certainly act like it when they're in the majority.
Yeah, you're exactly right. But one of the ways to overcome that is just to simply replace the people that are in office. But for that, it's going to take a lot of votes out there. And one of the things you guys are really big on is voter registration. I keep talking with the South Carolina GOP about voter registration drives, and they just seem like they don't want to do it.
Yeah, look, I don't even know, Charlie, I'll disagree with you a little bit here.
Okay.
I'm for voter registration. I think we need more people to vote. Look, I'm 64 years old. I started participating in elections with Ronald Reagan's election when I was 18 years old. I just think if we think that the solution to the country's problems is to elect better people, like, I don't know what world we're living in. I think we should always try to elect the best people we can. They're never going to impose term limits on themselves. They're never going to balance the budget themselves. They're never going to limit their own power. I just think it takes more than that.
And that would be the Convention of States, right?
Yeah, that's exactly why I do what I'm doing. Look, in 2010, I helped lead a movement that caused the biggest swing in the U.S. Congress since 1938. We flipped 62 seats from Democrat to Republican. And I honestly believed at that point it was done. Like, of course, now they were going to do what we wanted them to do.
Right.
And you know what they did? They did nothing, Charlie. They didn't change a thing. And so when I looked at that, they didn't even try to overturn Obamacare. And then 2012, we get the Senate, and they didn't try to overturn Obamacare. And so when I looked at that, I thought, okay, well then, while elections are important, we should always participate to the full extent. They're not going to fix the problems that ail the nation. And that's why I think we have to call a convention of states, and we have to force amendments on these guys that will limit their scope, power, jurisdiction, impose term limits, and really just put them back in the constitutional box.
So how does this work? A lot of people are saying, like, how does the Convention of States work?
Yeah, so the Constitution says when 2/3 of the states want to gather in convention, they say what they want to talk about. In our case, we're saying term limits, not just for Congress, but also for all federal officials. That means the deep state, by the way, staff, bureaucrats. It says that we're going to talk about anything that would take financial power away from the federal government, tie their hands, balance the budget, put tax caps and spending caps in place. And then it says we're going to talk about anything that would take their power away. And by that, I mean specifically things like saying, no, I'm sorry, you can't have a Department of Education or Energy or Health and Human Services. All of these things, the CDC, all of these things that they were never supposed to do, these were supposed to be state functions, and the government, the federal government, usurped those powers. We can restore those powers to the states and take them away from the federal government. So when 34 states say that they want to do this, the next thing that happens is the states gather in convention, they debate those things, and you'll hear people say, oh, it's so scary, it's going to run away, we don't know what they're going to do. All they can do is make suggestions, Charlie.
Yeah.
When they're done, they make suggestions, and then it has to be ratified by 38 states, anything that comes out of that convention.
So how close are we now to a Convention of States?
Look, we're getting really close. We've passed the halfway mark. We have 20 states. Right there in North Carolina, we've passed the House. We're just pending in the Senate. I think we're going to pass Ohio this year. I think we'll be done by 2030, and we'll hold the first convention in history.
Man, good luck with that. I mean, I certainly hope that works out. Mark Meckler, best of luck to you. I hope it all works out for you and we can get some change done in this country. How can people find out more about the Convention of States?
They go to conventionofstates.com, and they can sign our petition there, find all the information there, or they can follow me on X at Mark Meckler.
All right. I appreciate it, Mark. Thank you very much for calling in. We'll talk soon. Thanks. Take care. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking news and stimulating talk begins every hour, every afternoon on the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Text or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, we got some breaking news. It is official. Darlene Graham has filed with the South Carolina Elections Commission for the Senate race in South Carolina. That was done today. Now we've got nine people running for this race. Duke Buckner, Russell Fry, Darlene Graham, Mark Lynch, Mark McBride, Darius Mitchell, Clark Nielsen, Ralph Norman, and Samuel Shepard have all paid the fee. What happens if it goes to a runoff? The top two, JJ, the top two go on to the runoff. So we'll see what happens with that. But it's here's the thing, though. Even over on Fox News, they were like, what's she done? What are the people of South Carolina voting for? I want you to listen to Larry Kudlow over there.
We're in the Senate races. Darlene Graham, I want to talk for a moment because, she's thrown her hat into the Senate ring. Okay, she wants to stay. She's going to be a primary. She's going to run against, Ralph Norman, a veteran in the House in South Carolina. What do we know? I want to be sensitive here because of the great Lindsey Graham's sister and so forth. But what are her positions? She's going to have to lay out. We don't necessarily know her positions, particularly on domestic and economic items.
She's mainly a name brand candidate at this point, Larry. But I don't know her positions.
That's it.
We talked about it.
We're in the Senate race.
We don't know. We don't know a whole lot about Darlene Graham right now. However, we do know this. So apparently, she's now eligible. So has the South Carolina GOP, have they gotten together and have they approved Darlene Graham for running in this race? Because remember, they reconvened the convention just a couple of weeks ago, and they made that rule that you have to have voted in 2 out of the last 3 statewide primaries. Darlene Graham did not do that. She voted in a runoff, I think in 2024, and that doesn't count as a statewide primary. And she voted in last year's or this past primary election. That's the only thing we know. Now, what the rules also say is that in lieu of that, you can get a special waiver from the South Carolina GOP Executive Committee. I don't know if that's been done. Have they met? I'd like to know. We do know this, that Darlene Graham gave money to her friend, Katrina Shealy. Now, she was one of the senators, the sister soldier senators, or whatever they call themselves, who is pro-abortion and opposed the heartbeat bill. Darlene even donated money to her campaign. Now, this is interesting because Katrina Shealy put out a statement about this. Oh, they're getting ahead of all this. Katrina Shealy said, for everyone trying to make a political issue out of Darlene Graham's one and only $100 campaign contribution to Katrina Shealy, here's a little history lesson. I love the way Katrina Shealy talks down to people. And I also love the way Katrina Shealy uses third person. That contribution was made during the 2020 election cycle, long before the band of ferocious sister senators came together to oppose South Carolina's near-total abortion ban. At that time, abortion was not the defining issue. It later became, after the Supreme Court's 2022 Dobbs decision returned abortion policy to the states, and South Carolina began debating much stricter legislation. Darlene's contribution reflected a friendship and a respect for Katrina, again, using the third person, Katrina's public office, particularly her work on disability issues, not some litmus test on abortion. In fact, that $100 contribution is the only recorded political campaign contribution Darlene has made, which is interesting to me. It really is. That the only contribution that she made was to Katrina Shealy. So, very, very interesting. I find that. And the use of third person, I don't understand. So Darlene Graham posted this a couple days ago. She said, one of my core convictions is my belief in protecting the sanctity of human life at every stage. For years, I've committed my life to fighting for vulnerable population, and no one is more vulnerable than an unborn child who cannot speak for themselves. She goes on to say, she says, an overview of the pro-life bills backed by Senator Darlene Graham. The Support and Value Expectant Moms and Babies Act, Support a Live Abortion Survivors Protection Act, No Taxpayer Funder for Abortion, Promoting Human Flourishing and Foreign Assistance Act, the Pregnant Students' Rights Act, the Forced Abortion Prevention and Accountability Act, and the More Opportunities for Moms to Success Act. That's from Darlene Graham, who, by the way, like I said, has officially filed to run for Senate here in South Carolina. So very interesting. It is. I love the way Katrina. Number one, Katrina Shealy. This woman talks to her about herself in third person in a post, and then she talks down to people. There's a little history lesson for you. They just don't like her. Let's go to Tom in Ruffton. How you doing, Tom?
Good, Charlie. I love your show.
Thank you, sir.
It's absolutely wonderful. Anyway, I wanted to mention something about the convention estates.
Okay.
It is not. It's only a temporary solution because when they meet, they only meet for a fairly short period of time, the way I understand it.
Right.
And I wanted to mention that Tactical Civics, tacticalcivics.com, is a full spectrum solution to our problems.
Okay.
And it's, if people are interested, they can go and take a look at it and see what it's all about. And it has basically all the tools in it that we need to bring the country back from this insanity we're facing.
We are facing a great deal of insanity, Tom. I appreciate it. WORD Talk Line 800-9050-989. That's also the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line. If you would like to weigh in, what do you think about Darlene Graham officially filing to run in this race? Let's see. Charlie, apparently the GOP granted Darlene a waiver. Now, I don't know because I haven't heard. I would have thought if the executive committee got together, I'm going to reach out to one and find out. I should have an answer for you in just a matter of minutes. We'll see what happens with that. All right. Tell you what, we'll take a quick break and be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Hitting truth bombs longer than he drives off the tee. It's the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie Speaks. You listen on your time. Get the show on demand. Text podcast to 800-905-0989. The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, well, let's find out what's going on. We'll go to Becky in Spartanburg, EC of Spartanburg County. Becky, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Charlie?
I'm really good. Has the EC met about Darlene Graham yet? And how does the process work?
Well, I will tell you that we would be called together either in a physical meeting in Columbia or probably on a Zoom, since this is kind of a hurry-up thing. And so when I saw the rumors about her not having voted, then I thought, oh gosh, already there's a challenge to the rule. And so I thought, well, the waiver's got to come from the state EC. The way the rule reads, there could be a waiver locally, the GOP locally, if it were a sheriff or a county councilman or something like that.
Right.
But if it's a statewide race, the waiver has to come from the state executive board. And so I waited to see, and of course I was listening to you say that she had voted in a runoff, and then we were waiting to see if she had voted in this past election. That's the only thing. If she voted in 26 and she voted in 24, then she's not going to need a waiver. So I don't know if the 26th election...
But the rules say you have to vote in 2 out of 3 of the last statewide primaries.
Right. So that would be 2 if she voted in 24 and she voted in 26.
If she voted in that primary, right? So
right.
So that might be taken care of. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that that's been reported. It's certainly been certified, but I haven't heard whether it's been reported. And no, we have not been called to a Zoom or to a physical meeting.
So when somebody like this files, that doesn't automatically mean they're on the ballot, does it?
Unless they're rejected for some reason, I would expect them to be on the ballot.
Well, especially with these rules, though, because now we got a whole new, all these parameters on who can be a candidate.
Right.
So, yeah, it used to be if you just wanted to vote, you showed up, you paid your $10,400 and you. And you ran the election, but now we got a lot of other things to take into consideration. Well, Becky, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the information.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Anytime.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, we don't know, but listen, she's going to be on the ballot. Just put that over in the corner. I mean, are you going to want to be? Now, I want you to think about this. Think about Lindsey Graham. Think about the power he's had. Think about the money involved with his campaign. Think about all of the high-profile, maybe people you've never heard of, but in the world of politics, a lot of high-profile people there in the Lindsey Graham campaign. You got all of these people. You got all these PACs. What you had that one PAC promising almost $1 million for what, a 3-week campaign? That's a lot of money. A lot of money. Are you going to be a state EC executive committeeman that votes not to let Darlene Graham on the ballot? Well, you're done. You are done in the Republican Party. You would literally be signing your own death warrant as far as politics are concerned in South Carolina. The machine runs everything. A lot of people think the candidate runs everything. That is not the case. The machine runs everything in politics. The PACs, the money, the donors, the lobbyists, the special interest. They run it all. And that's, not supposed to work that way. So I'm wondering who is pulling John Thune's strings. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a briefing yesterday, that President Donald Trump's patience with Senate Majority Leader John Thune is wearing thin, and it should be. Look, the president spoke about this directly yesterday, Levitt said. His patience is running out. White House Republicans have largely aligned themselves with Trump's legislative priorities. Thune has been unable to rally his caucus to move the legislation forward, saying repeatedly that he simply does not have the votes. And I've told you how to get them. I've told you how to get them. You're a leader. You're supposed to lead. Use the power that you have. And one of the things John Thune could do, and again, another thing I've told you before, go to these people and say, listen, you like the committees that you're on? Oh, you like that? Oh, you like being the chairman of that committee? You like being the vice chair of that committee? Well, unless you vote for the Save America Act, you're not going to be that anymore. Oh, Tom Tillis, you like the state of North, and I would. This is exactly, you got to play hardball here. This is what the Democrats would do. This is what the Democrats would do. Oh, John Thune. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom Tillis. Oh, you love your state? You love your state? Let's see how much money you get in the next budget. Let's see how much money the state of North Carolina gets in the next budget if you don't vote for this. Let's see how that works for you. I got a couple of military bases up there, down there in North Carolina. Well, I might have to put them on the chopping block. You know, budgetary concerns and all of that. Yeah, that's what I would do. It's time to play hardball. But John Thune, he's playing softball. He's playing kickball is what he's playing. He's playing flag. So you got to do it. But right now we got basically a circular firing squad in Washington. Senator John Kennedy said John can't put a gun to people's head and make them vote a particular way. The hell he can't. This is another problem that I have with Senator John Kennedy. He talks so flowery. Oh, he's got just so full of hokum and honey, and he comes up with the best one-liners since Jack Benny. But he votes like a Democrat. John Thune can't put a gun to people's head and make them vote. Yeah, he can. Yes, he can. That's what his job is to do. You like your committee? Want to be on that committee? Or you want to be relegated to the dustbin of history in the Senate? You just want to be another senator? Well, then you get on board. Or there's going to be hell to pay. That's what a leader does. They use their leverage, but they don't want to do that. Anyway, lots of money being spent on this race. We'll tell you exactly what we're talking about coming up in just a second. Also, a woman in Rochester, New York, was found guilty because of something she said. We'll tell you about it. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Honest views, trusted news. This is the Charlie James Show
on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Hey, Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk. Charlie. Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
And welcome back to the program. Well, tonight is the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Remember the last one that they had when another radical leftist went in and tried to assassinate the President of the United States? Yeah, you remember that. Well, they're going to have another one tonight. President Trump's speech tonight, from what we hear, has been described as two things. Number one, unifying. And number two, vicious. I don't know how those two travel in the same in the same car, but there you go. Let's go to Janice in Gastonia. How you doing, Janice?
I'm doing fine, Charlie.
All right.
I was kind of curious. Did you hear about Democrat James Carville dropping a truth bomb on one of his interviews today?
Not today. No, I haven't heard about that one, but what did he say?
Yeah, he said the Democrats have got to suck it up and pass the SAVE Act because this is not a hill to die on.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes,
my
sir.
gosh. That's amazing. I would have never thought that would have I would have never thought that would have come out of his mouth.
Yeah, I wouldn't either because you've heard a lot of what has come out of his
Yeah,
mouth and it has
exactly.
nothing positive about
Yeah.
America. But that was on the Bongino report this afternoon.
How about that? That is amazing.
I thought you might like that one.
I'm gonna absolutely look that up. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Janice. That would be. This isn't it. Well, we'll see what happens. If he did say that. All right, WRD talk line 800-9050-989. Gerald said over on the text line that, Charlie, basically you're saying that we've got the best politicians money can buy. Well, unfortunately, that's the way the world works these days. That's the way it happens. And a lot of money is being spent on this campaign. There's a PAC out there called Security is Strength. Now, they were a PAC that they were designed, formed to bolster Lindsey Graham. It's a Graham Machine super PAC. And now they're going to be using a whole lot of more money to support Lindsey Graham's sister. In fact, to the tune, some people say, maybe up to $900,000 going in. It's pretty big. Now, so we got Ron Perlman, owner and Humvee maker at General Motors, $500,000. Leonard Blavatnik, Access Industries, $500,000. Sheldon and Miriam Adelson, $500,000 each. Robert McNair, and even GE's Jeffrey Immelt have all donated or donating right now. So we'll see what happens with all this. But this is going to be a tremendous amount of money. Tremendous amount. Greg Giroux says South Carolina U.S. Senate primary Security is Strength PAC, the super PAC that aided Lindsey Graham's campaign, reported spending $620,000 TV digital in support of Senator Darlene Graham. They've announced a total of $900,000 to support Darlene Graham. That's a lot of money. Let's go to Larry in Cleveland County. How you doing, Larry?
I'm doing great, sir. I want to bring up a point. Lindsey Graham and John McCain, they're good friends, right?
Yeah.
I seen John McCain when he came out of Hanoi. He was a prisoner in Vietnam, right?
Right.
He was too thick. He was too well taken care of. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I mean, I listen. The guy was suspended by his arms behind his back for hours. That's why he couldn't use his arms.
No, that's what I just want you to think. But they forgot all the people that was in Vietnam, the ones that was left behind because we didn't pay the reparations. Remember that?
Okay, I don't know, Larry. What's your point?
My point is that he's not what he says he is. His sister's not what she's supposed to be.
So you're
It's a
saying,
turncoat.
well, now you're getting two people mixed up. You're getting John McCain and Lindsey Graham mixed up.
Right, but I'm trying to tell you that they're all the same people. She's
Okay.
not trying to help us out. She's not trying to help us out.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I've reached out, trying to get Darlene Graham on the program. We'll see if that works. Let's go to Robert in Mills River. Robert, what's up, man?
Well, I just think sitting here, you was talking about Tom Tillis earlier there. And, you know, I'm telling you, Cooper, Tillis, none of them's never done nothing for North Carolina.
No,
I mean,
no.
Why the
Cooper,
heck would anybody even vote for them? I mean,
well, you tell me, Robert, what's wrong with these people in North Carolina? I know it's all Charlotte and Raleigh doing all of this, but, I mean, you got Roy Cooper who let just thousands of criminals out on the streets during COVID.
yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And another thing, we got these demon craps over here in Asheville.
Yeah.
And I'm not lying you. The mayor won't even stand for Pledge of Allegiance. Anybody that don't stand or don't stand for our country, don't want to do, they should be exempt from
That's
being
the thing.
part
When
of our,
Asheville's got about right at 80% Democrat, that's what you get. And that's the big problem up in Asheville is just and it's all the little liberals there. Hey, dude, we need to move out of here. So where do you want to go? Man, I hear Asheville is like really cool and some junk. So let's just all go to Asheville. Yeah, but we don't have jobs. We don't need jobs in Asheville. The government will pay for everything. We'll be all right. There's plenty of people sleeping on the streets, and we'll be fine. Totally. So let's go to Asheville. And they do. And they ruin it, just like the liberals ruin everything they touch. If you've got something nice, never let the liberals know about it. Unfortunately, the word has gotten out about Greenville and the upstate. And that's a scary thing. It really is. And you got all these, these people moving here. Oh, and all these people are saying, well, we're going to, what we got to do is we got to bring industry into South Carolina. And it's going to create 1,000 jobs. But those 1,000 jobs don't go to South Carolinians. Those 1,000 jobs are imported into South Carolina. People from other states with horrible voting records come in and say, you know what, I think we ought to change things around here. And that's exactly what they try to do. Exactly what they try to do. That's the plan. In fact, there was a mass shooting in Asheville that we'll tell you about coming up in just a little bit. Also, you want to talk about money in a campaign. John Ossoff over in Georgia is spending thousands of dollars of his campaign money. I can't wait to tell you what he's spending it on. And when we get back, a woman in Rochester, New York, was found guilty for something that she said. We'll tell you about that. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Streaming stimulating talk and breaking news on your phone 24/7 on the Odyssey app. You're on the drive with the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas. Tap and type your message on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, welcome back to the program. Well, the Save America Act, even James Carville is saying that the Democrats should pass the Save America Act. I want to thank Janice for this, alerting me to this. Well, listen to what he said on a podcast.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fix anything, but maybe you just go along with it and move to the next
Well,
thing.
James, let me disagree. We have
Okay,
voter
sure.
ID in most states. Most states have voter ID.
Right.
What they're trying to do with this so-called SAVE Act is
That's
require
not-
what they say is proof of citizenship, which is either a birth certificate, which I don't know, 25. People have a hard. I went a couple of years ago. I was going to take a trip overseas, and about 10 days ahead of time, I couldn't find. I spent 10 days trying to get my birth certificate, or secondly, a passport, which most people don't have, and thirdly, if you talk about your birth certificate and you didn't get to keep your maiden name, my wife let me keep mine. If you didn't get to keep your maiden name, you're in trouble. So I think you're absolutely right on voter ID, but we basically have it.
Again, if we have it, just say, okay, pass the law. I mean, I think it's.
I don't want to pass
And yeah,
that SAVE Act.
I never had a problem with it. I'm just saying, of all the things, people, if every poll shows 75 or better, say we should have some kind of an ID to vote. Some state, I don't know what it is, but just quit fighting and go along with it and move to the next thing.
There you go. I agree with James Carville on this. Now, I don't know who the host is of that podcast that Carville was talking to, but I wanted to find out exactly how long it would take for me to get my birth certificate. So I went on and I went through the entire process. Went to the Richmond County, Georgia Vital Records Department, filled out everything right up until it was time to pay. I went right up into the paywall. It took me about 2 minutes. About 2 minutes to do. It is just that easy. All these people that are out there saying, "Oh, you can't get a birth certificate." Yes, you can. You can absolutely get you could, if you live in the county that you were born in, that's even easier. You could have one in about 45 minutes. If you live here in Greenville, you could drive down to Columbia, order it there, you'd be back, you could do that right at, just after lunch, be back by dinner. You'd have it all. It is not that hard. These are just excuses that the Democrats are coming up with. It's so easy. And by the way, all of these women that got married and changed their names, guess what information you had to have to change your name? The same information that would be required for you to register to vote. Ta-da! It's just that simple. Now, this is the way it goes, because the very first argument against this was, well, this is going to disenfranchise black voters. Well, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, it's going to disenfranchise black voters because black voters don't have ID. Well, that's a bunch of BS. Amy Horowitz went out on the streets and interviewed. It was the darndest interview I've ever seen in my life. He interviewed a bunch of white people about voter ID, and he was like, "Hey, do you think you should have to have it?" No, because it's racist. Because it really. Let me see if I can find this clip, because I mean it just hearing what they said, that black people didn't have access to computers. Black people didn't have access, they didn't know how to use computers, or there were and then he went to Brooklyn, New York. And he asked some African-American people there, do you have an ID? Every single one of them said, yeah. Oh, yeah. Boy, I got an ID. What, are you kidding me? Absolutely, I do. So they know it's going to be a problem. In fact, what was her name? Slotkin. Slotkin came up and she said, listen, if you pass the Save America Act, the Democrats are going to have a hard time winning elections. Well, why? Wait a minute, why? Why would that even be a thing? Because they know. They know absolutely well. They know good and well that they've got people voting that should not be voting in these elections. And listen, okay, so got to go back just a few minutes. President Trump, in his speech, a week ago, less than a week ago, talked about how China had stolen all of this voter information. And John Solomon did a report on how China was shipping illegal IDs over to this country. So it's not just about illegal aliens voting. It's about people that are voting who are not the people that they talked about, who are not who they said they were. I think it was, I don't know if it was Project Veritas or O'Keefe Media, but they went out and they found all of these people who had donated to Act Blue, the big Democrat PAC, all these people that voted for Act Blue. And they went to this neighborhood and they were like, well, this doesn't really look like a neighborhood where somebody would make a contribution like this. So they knocked on these doors. Hello, Miss Jones, how are you? Are you aware that you donated $1,000 to Act Blue? I didn't do that. Oh, yes, you did. Just 2 years ago. No, I've never donated to anybody. It's fraud. It's absolute. So not only are they fraudulent in their elections, but what they're doing is they're being fraudulent in their campaign contributions. So here you are, some rich Democrat, and you want to contribute more than the maximum. Well, all you got to do, find a couple of low-rent neighborhoods, find out who lives there. Tax records will tell you that. Use those people's names, those people's addresses, false signature, and just donate away in their name. That is highly illegal. So see, cheating goes on. Even if it's not illegal immigrants, even if it's not unregistered voters registering, the Democrats cheat constantly. And we got to make sure that all of that stops, or listen. But the only way we're going to be able to do that is get rid of the filibuster. And John Thune's just not going to do that. So maybe we need to find another way. Maybe John Thune will not strip the Save America Act out of the the bill, the reconciliation bill that was passed by the House. But then again, he's alluded to the fact that it had. By the way, the House is gone. They're gone for 6 weeks. They're done. They're out of here. They're on vacation. So we won't even be seeing them for at least about a month and a half. All right, when we get back, a Rochester, New York woman was found guilty because of something she said. Are we more and more turning into Great Britain? Well, it certainly looks that way. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking news and stimulating talk begins every hour on The Charlie James Show. Afternoons 3 to 7 on News Talk 98.9
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Chat with Charlie.
800-905-0989. Save it on your phone.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, welcome back to the program. Let's go to Fred in Greer. What's going on with you, Fred? Fred, are you there?
I am, sir.
All right, what's up?
I got some questions that I want answers to
Okay,
about Lindsey Graham's sister.
okay.
She's been in office for less than 3 weeks now.
A week.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm plussing or minusing.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay,
I'm trying to be honest.
I got you.
But she's about to go on a 6-week vacation, according to
Yeah.
what I just heard.
Yeah.
Okay. But she's still going to accept 6 months of his salary? How
Well,
does that work?
it's not his salary. She's the sitting senator of South Carolina, so she does get compensated for that work.
Well, okay. So she walked into the job making $175,000 a year,
Probably something
And
like that. Yeah.
week vacation right off the bat.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. It's weird, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, but yet we're supposed to thank her for accepting a part-time job and then trying to say, I want it full-time?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. So, I mean, it's pretty amazing, Fred. I appreciate it. But, yep, that's what's going on. That's what's going on. She is the sitting senator of South Carolina. No, right now, she's the junior senator. That's hard to imagine. Tim Scott is now the senior senator of South Carolina. But she is. And a lot of questions going on about it. And one of them has to do, somebody asked a question over on the text line, and I thought about this earlier today, but I'd forgotten about it until this texter reminded me, because we've got a debate coming up. Monday, August the 3rd. August the 3rd is going to be a debate. 1 hour. It's 1 hour. And there are 9 candidates that are going to be in this debate. That equals up to about, if this number holds right now, and listen, I don't even know, are they going to block the whole thing out? Are they going to have commercials or what? So they're going to come on at 8 o'clock. They're going to do their little spiel. That's going to take up a couple of minutes, probably take a couple of minutes, at the end of the program. Everybody's going to get, maybe, I don't know what the format's going to be. Everybody's going to give an opening statement, and then we're going to get to the 6 minutes. 6 minutes per candidate, less than 6 minutes total talk time per candidate. Then you got to go, wait a minute, now that's overall. Then you got to go into the time that it's going to take for the moderators to ask the questions. We're looking at a total talking time of about 3 minutes per candidate. What are we going to be able to find out with that? Well, the answer to that is absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So there is something else going on out there. Alan Wilson and Drew McKissick are going on a statewide stump tour. It's the U.S. Senate Stump Stop. They're going to be going all over the state, and these candidates are going to be showing up, and they're going to be giving their stump speeches. Now, the first one is going to be Saturday, August the 1st. It's going to be down in Lexington at the River Bluff High School, 11:30 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. Doors open about 11 o'clock. You're going to hear from some of the candidates. Again, we don't know what candidates are going to show up for which of these stump speeches. We have no idea. But that's a pretty good idea. I got to admit, that's a really good idea. So Alan Wilson and Drew McKissick are going to be doing that. But we don't even know who's going to be participating in this debate coming up on Monday night, on the 3rd, Monday night, August 3rd. Will it be all 9 candidates? Will it be some of them? Will it be half of them? We don't know. Will Darlene Graham be participating in this? We have no idea what's going to be going on with that. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and find out exactly what's happening. Charlie, Darlene says, my turn. Yep, I get it. Charlie, yesterday you were talking about the Lindell guy posting the idea of legalizing illegals. not technically. We'll tell you about that in just a second. One of the ideas was to never allow them to vote. I'm hoping I understood that right. Rush Limbaugh had a comment, again, if I remember right, he said it would be he would be more likely to accept the idea of legalizing if they were never allowed to vote. Well, maybe so. What Mike Lindell said, he proposed a 6-month amnesty for illegal aliens in Minnesota, because he's running for governor of Minnesota. 6-month amnesty, and you would be able to work and pay taxes. Now, how that's, I know one thing, I know that's not flying well with a lot of conservatives, but that's what he said. All right, in Rochester, New York, a woman named Shiloh Hendricks was found guilty. No, I'm sorry, it's Rochester, Minnesota. No wonder. Rochester, Minnesota. This woman, Shiloh Hendricks, was out of the park, out of the playground in Rochester. There was a kid, a young child, not hers, started rummaging through her diaper bag and took something. Well, the young kid was African American, and Shiloh Hendricks used the N-word. She didn't know the kid was autistic. She had no idea. She just knew that there was some kid rummaging through her bag, and he took something. So she used the N-word. Then some guy comes up with a video camera, and he starts videotaping her, and he's harassing her and all of that, and she used the N-word against him. Well, she got, you know what she got? She got arrested. Rochester City Attorney Michael Spengler Craig charged Hendricks with 2 counts of disorderly conduct, one involving her words and behavior toward the child, and the other involving her words and behavior toward the man who videotaped the incident. She was found guilty. $1,000 fine, placed on probation, ordered to complete community service. She initially faced up to 90 days in jail, but will serve no time unless the probation is broken. Her defense attorney is going to appeal to the decision. The city attorney said what has made this incident so painful for so many in our community. So painful. Give me a break. You listen, you find somebody rummaging through your stuff and see what words you use. Probably many words. Now, was what she said wrong? Well, probably in a standard situation. But listen, if you're being robbed, and that's what this woman thought was happening, you're being robbed. I mean, you're going to go to jail for your actions when somebody's robbing you? And maybe the words were offensive, but I'm sorry. Freedom of speech protects offensive speech. And you want to talk about disturbing the peace or disorderly conduct? Yeah, why don't you go look in Minneapolis, see what's going on there. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of nonstop breaking news and stimulating talk jumpstarts every hour on the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
act on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. Text or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, let's go to the phones. We're going to talk to Brian in Woodruff. How you doing, Brian?
Hey, doing good, sir.
All right. What's up?
All right, so was reading earlier about her case, and apparently the guy that was filming her was a registered sex offender, but the city attorney also refused to question why a sex offender was in a park with little kids with a camera out.
That's unbelievable. He refused to even, hey, what were you doing there, Sporty?
Yeah, exactly.
That's unbelievable. I'm telling you what, justice, no, you're not going to get it in Minnesota. I appreciate it, Brian. Thank you. Let's go to Cassandra in Greenville. What's going on with you, Cassandra?
Hi, Charlie. Well, I don't choose to use certain words in my vocabulary. However, we do have freedom of speech for a reason, and one of the main reasons is that using words that are offensive to people is to stop actual physical violence from happening. Because if you yell it, scream it out, you don't have to actually physically hit somebody.
Yeah.
Words are good. And also, they allow other people to know who you really are. If you choose to speak that way, they know who you are. And that's okay. We need freedom of speech. And although I'm sorry for the situation, you don't get arrested for speaking.
Especially when you feel like you're being robbed. She had no idea this kid was autistic.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you started the story, I thought you were going to say she spanked him.
Yeah.
Because that's the impulse. It's like, no, you don't go and people say, and you spank.
Right.
But no. And so anyway, just calling because it does help to get rid of violence. Words are good. There is no such thing as hate speech. That's it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Cassandra. It reminded me of this story. This guy used the N-word. So here's what happened. This guy got stabbed. White guy got stabbed by a black guy. All right? The white guy used the N-word after he got stabbed. Okay? So because the white guy used the N-word after he got stabbed, they dropped the charges against the black guy. Is that crazy? Is that crazy? That's absolutely nuts. It really is. So, but we got closer fish to fry. Asheville. There was a mass shooting over on Biltmore Avenue. Happened over the 4th of July. Well, actually, it was a mass shooting over at on Biltmore Avenue, and it has actually been connected to another shooting that happened on the weekend of July 4th. Mayor Esther Manheimer, City Manager D.K. Wesley, and Interim Police Chief Jackie Stepp held a briefing today to share new details about the Biltmore Avenue shooting that left 2 people dead and 7 others hurt. Stepp said the investigators have identified several people of interest on the Biltmore Avenue case and are working to locate and interview them. Stepp said evidence shows the Biltmore Avenue shooting was a direct retaliatory act tied to an earlier apartment shooting on Lee Garden Lane around 4:30 on July 5th. Police said a passenger in the vehicle was shot in the shoulder. When asked whether or not these incidents were gang violence, Chief Stepp called it 2 groups of people committing acts of violence against each other. Now, this is another case of another police chief denying gang activity. 100%. So, yeah. Was it gang-related? Absolutely it was. Let's see. SpaceX is launching right now from Texas. It is absolutely magnificent. They're doing this launch to try to find out if they can actually use some of these SpaceX vehicles to send someone to the moon. We'll see what happens with that. All right, let me ask some guys. How much money, and I'll guarantee you, there are very few men in this audience that will be able to answer this question. How much money has your wife spent on makeup since February? How much money? I got February, March, April, May, June, July. 5 months. How much has your wife spent on makeup? Is it over $2,000? Would you be upset to find out that your wife spent over $2,000 on makeup? I would be. I'd be like, what? You're what? In fact, it's almost $3,000. John Ossoff, the Georgia senator, has spent since February $2,887 for makeup services. That according to his federal campaign finance disclosure. The most recent payment of $9,000 came on June 10th. Yeah, he's using some Hollywood makeup artist to come in. Well, she works in Atlanta, but they do a lot of filming in Atlanta. She works in Atlanta, but she's one of these Hollywood makeup artists. And now, look, just to let you know, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Rashida Tlaib have also spent a lot of money. AOC has spent $1,800 on campaign event hair and makeup. This is funny. So AOC spent almost $2,000 on hair and makeup. Rashida Tlaib spent $320, and it shows. The spending comes as liberal media figures praised the 39-year-old Ossoff's carefully managed on-camera presence and float him as a prospective 2028 presidential candidate, which is not going to happen. Could you imagine that? A man. I wonder how much. I mean, gosh, almost $3,000 on makeup. He's a pretty boy, ladies and gentlemen. He absolutely is. Oh, by the way, and I've been meaning to get to this today, we have some really good job numbers.
And Rick, the numbers, please.
Yes, initial jobless claims expected to be in the 210,000 area, come in extremely light, 187,000. 187,000. Boy, that would be the lightest. So we have to go back a bit here. That would be the lightest since, wow. That'd be the lightest since, man, I have to go back all the way into 22. You're looking at numbers that we haven't seen basically since the late 1960s here, 187,000. The last number of any significance was 190,000. That was April of 24. That goes back to 69.
Lowest job numbers, unemployment job numbers since the late 60s, ladies and gentlemen. The late 60s, more winning from President Trump. Good job, sir. All right, I want y'all to go out. I want you to have a great, wonderful, wonderful weekend, and we will see you right back here on Monday. God bless. Buckle up. Bye, y'all.